uh, an essay to begin the week, and it's interesting what opened up for from the book This I Believe. And I opened up with this essay by a Debbie Hall, and she's a psychologist at the Naval Medical Center in San Diego. And she also volunteers with the disaster mental health team at the local Red Cross. And she lives in Escondido, California. And she has 5 cats and a 15-year-old golden retriever. So talk about pets. So anyway, but her essay, which I'd like to read today, which I felt very, uh, talk about meaningful coincidence. Her essay is titled The Power of Presence. I believe in the power of presence. I was recently reminded of this belief when I and several other Red Cross volunteers met a group of evacuees from Hurricane Katrina. We were there as mental health professionals to offer psychological first aid. Despite all the training on how to debrief, to educate about stress reactions, to screen for those needing therapy, I was struck again by the simple healing power of presence. Even as we walked in the gate to the shelter, we were greeted with a burst of gratitude from the first person we encountered. I felt appreciated, but somewhat guilty, because I hadn't really done anything yet. Presence is a noun, not a verb. It is a state of being, not doing. States of being are not highly valued in a culture that places a high priority on doing. Yet true presence, or being with another person, carries with it a silent power to bear witness to a passage, to help carry an emotional burden, or to begin a healing process. In it, there's an intimate connection with another that is perhaps too seldom felt in a society that strives for ever faster connectivity. I was first hurled into an ambivalent presence many years ago when a friend's mother died unexpectedly. Part of me wanted to rush down to the hospital, but another part of me didn't want to intrude on this acute and very personal phase of grief. I was torn about what to do. Another friend with me at the time said, "Just go. Just be there." I did, and I will never ever regret it. Since then, I have not hesitated to be in the presence of others whom I could do nothing. I sat at the bedside of a young man in a morphine coma to blunt the pain of his age-related dying. We spoke to him about his inevitable journey out of this life. He later told his parents in a brief moment of lucidity that he had felt us with him. Another time I visited a former colleague dying of cancer in a local hospice. She too is not awake and presumably unaware of others' presence with her. The atmosphere was by no means solemn. Her family had come to terms with the passing, were playing guitars and singing. They allowed her to be present with them as though she were still fully alive. With therapy clients, I'm still pulled by the need to do more than be, yet repeatedly struck by the healing power of connection created by being fully there in the quiet understanding of another. I believe in the power of presence, and it is not only something we give to others, it always changes me, and always for the better. So I don't know, just felt very appropriate to begin the week with the power of presence. It was interesting. One of the things that I saw here was about how she was at a young man who was dying of AIDS, and she thought he was in a coma. Well, basically, he was in a coma, but after she left, he had a brief moment of lucidity. And actually, that happened to me. I was with my friend Mitch. He was dying of AIDS in 1990, and I thought he was going. And I remember visiting him at the hospital, and he was just lying there in the bed. And then all of a sudden, he popped up and he said, "I need to see my mom now." And I said, "Oh my gosh." And I was just like, "Oh my gosh." So I called up his mom and his family, and I said, "You need to come now." to see Mitch. And I have to admit, I don't remember whether they did see him at that point, but I do remember very clearly, you know, at the time of passing, there is that little bit of window, and all of a sudden, they're there. That person is there. And so, anyway, so talk about, the power of presence. And also, I do remember there was another friend of mine. He was a hairdresser, and he was dying. Oh, he was already, yeah, he was dying, down on 14th Street. And we had all his family and friends circling him. And I rang my Tibetan bells. And that's when they literally unplugged the machine. And I have to say, everybody was just so grateful. And we all kind of chanted together and held hands in a circle with him as they unplugged the machine. And I rang
Yeah.
the bells. It was really, Sue, please.
I, and up until COVID, I volunteer at NYU Hospital, and I volunteer with people who are waiting for transplants. That's one of the places where I am. And this last year, I met a woman who was waiting for a double lung transplant. And she was, oh my gosh, she was already there for 7 weeks before she had her transplant. But I loved hanging out with her. There, there's something so great that I learned through my experience with her, but also at the hospital, that there's been nothing really like that for me in my life. And being with people when they know they're really going, they just talk to you about so many important things. They trust you to take care of those thoughts. So this really resonated for me.
Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything before we go into a meditation? Any thoughts?
RD, yes. Um, 6 years ago, I was taking a class called Death in Perspective, and it was a series of field trips we would take to the morgue for an autopsy, to hospice, to a cemetery. But with the hospice, I had a lot of anxiety despite my psychology background about what I was going to encounter with these patients, with their families. But I came out of it with such a different perspective of that there was so much more aliveness. I was expecting it to be grim. I was expecting it to be somber, and it wasn't somber, and it was about our presence. It was about just showing up. And it was simply that and nothing else, was just that we showed up.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Rita. Oh, thank you. Very wonderful. Hmm? Anyway, anybody else? So maybe Mary Beth, please.
Well, I was just going to say I've been blessed, and I say this for the experience of having done a little bit of hospice work, and I got to my mother, in time. My brother had texted me and said, "Oh, you'll never make it." And she was in Massachusetts, and I was here, and I said, "Oh, I will." And she was in a coma, and he said, "Well, why don't you?" I said, "But let me say goodbye on the phone." So I told her, "Hey, I'm coming. I want to see you. But if you have to go, um, I know you want to go." My dad had passed. They always played cribbage. And I said, "But remember we said we'd always wait for each other?" Well, she never said that. She had dementia, and I kind of forget too, but I just thought, so she know I loved her. And she waited, and I got to hold her hand for, 8 hours. She wasn't
Mhm.
there, and she wasn't even, I don't know, I just felt a whole experience that everything we could never exchange, in form, because I was so, mother-daughters, conflict sometimes. It was just an incredible experience. And my brothers thought it was weird and they couldn't understand it. And I asked them to join and they didn't want to, but I felt very blessed to have had that. So
Oh, thank you, Mary Beth. Yes,
appreciate it.
I mean, that bond, and even though you physically can't speak with them, but you are there with them, and they do feel that. They really do feel that. And so, I mean, your mom or whoever, that might be. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, so I think we might be good to do our little, oh, who? Leticia. Oh, Leticia. I'm sorry, Leticia.
It's okay. I was hesitating a little bit, but it makes me think of presence when my father was in the hospital dying. I went to see him alone, and I was just there with him, holding his hand, and he wasn't conscious, but I was telling him how I loved him and how I was sorry. And I, I was telling him how much I loved him and all that, and explaining stuff. And he was just with his eyes closed. But after I spoke, I saw a tear in his eye, and I thought I hadn't noticed that before. So I think that on an energy level, he did feel everything that I was saying, and it was a great comfort. I'm sorry for crying,
Oh,
but yeah, it
sorry.
was beautiful.
That is a
And
beautiful,
I had him all to myself. So
absolutely.
as Mary Beth. So that's it. Okay, I'm
Oh,
back now.
no, thank you for sharing, Leticia. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, so on that note, I think let's kind of close with a meditation. And so let's kind of begin with your left hand on top of your right hand and your thumbs slightly touching together and just kind of relax in our chair. Ah, and just relax and just breathe. And feel your feet, kind of feel your feet flat on the ground, connecting to Mother Earth. And just imagine this beautiful golden cord of energy connecting up into the heavens, along the central channel of our bodies, going down to our legs, going down deep, 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 deep down into Mother Earth, heaven, humanity, and earth. And just breathe and relax. And let's begin our time together with the ringing of the bells of hope. And just relax. Relax your entire being. And just imagine ourselves in a beautiful location out in nature. Maybe we're at that butterfly preserve. Or maybe at that beautiful castle-like lighthouse in Germany. Or maybe with the beautiful sunflowers in the fields. Or along the lake. Or the meandering river at the Chinese gazebo along the side of the mountain. Just relax and just breathe. And this is our sitting meditation, the Zhong Tian Yi Qi. Our left hand represents the heaven, and the right hand represents the earth. The thumb's touch signifies the harmony of our world, and the formation of our hands represents the shape of our hearts. We carry our hearts in our hands. And just breathe and relax. And just enjoying this beautiful contemplative time together. Supporting each other just with our presence. And just imagine this beautiful purple light energy emanating from our hearts, getting larger, stronger, brighter, enveloping our entire being, enveloping our beautiful family, enveloping our family and friends, our global community. And just breathe and relax. Sitting here, it's just so natural as the world is outside of our body. And only when we are empty, clear our minds, can you experience tranquility and a loving heart. And just continue our breathing gently in and out. And just relax. And listen. Let's listen to the silence. And as we open our body to the universe, we are opening our hearts to the chi, to love. We're sharing our love, but we're also receiving this love. Our arms and hands, our bodies, limitless chi. We are the universe, and the universe is in us. And just allow this chi to pour into our bodies, filled with good health and trust and certainty, filled with joy and gratitude, and consciously allow and receive this chi energy from the universe, from Mother Earth, from each one of us, with our whole heart and mind. Now let's bring our hands into a prayer position in front of us and just breathe and relax. And gently allow your hands to float up like the steeple of a church, floating up, 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 connecting to the universe. Open your palms, but the base of your hands is still connected. Welcome the chi from God, from the sage, from the universe. Close our palms gently and slowly, slowly, slowly allow it to float and relax and allow to be in this prayerful mudra. Breathe and relax. And come back to this beautiful place in nature, wherever that might be. And I'm going to close all the time with the ringing of the bells. Om Mani Padme Om, Om Mani Padme Om, Om Mani Padme Om. Om Mani Padme Om, Om Mani Padme Om, Om Mani Padme Om. Om Mani Padme Om, Om Mani Padme Om, Om Mani Padme Om. Om Mani Padme Om. The six true words: welcoming, presence, happiness, gratitude, and good health. And so I just want to wish you happy Monday. Today's the last day of August. And just enjoy this beautiful day. And we'll see you tomorrow. And we're sending you lots of love from the inchworm and all of our pets and all of the flowers and the lighthouses and the butterfly fields. So lots of love.
That's
Oh, yes. Lots of love. Joy. We love you all.
I
Thank
love you
you.
too, Auntie.
Hope
Love
you
you.
enjoyed it. Have a beautiful day.
You too, Auntie.
Okay.
You too,
You too,
Auntie.
everybody.
Okay. We'll talk to you later.